What's up, fuckers? Ready to fry those brain cells with some deep dive shit?
Always down for a mental beatdown.
Well, today we're taking a trip down Silicon Valley to visit the land of Nvidia. And I don't just mean those graphics cards you kids use to crank your Fortnite settings.
Oh, no. This is about the big leagues.
We're talking about the company that went from making your games look pretty to, well, maybe becoming bigger than freaking Apple.
It's wild, right? I mean, their market cap just exploded. Went from one measly trillion to over $3 trillion in like a year.
I know, right? What the hell is going on? It's like everyone suddenly decided to throw their cash at Nvidia like they were strippers on payday. So let's cut the crap, all right?
Yeah.
What the hell happened? Did they invent some AI that jerks you off and makes you tendies while you game?
Not quite, but they're definitely onto something big.
Okay, so spill the beans. What's the secret sauce?
Well, to understand Nvidia, you got to go back to the beginning. Picture this, right? 1993, three dudes, probably hungover as shit, are sitting in a Denny's.
Denny's? You're telling me this whole trillion-dollar empire started in a Denny's?
I swear to God. And get this, the CEO, Jensen Huang, actually went back to that same Denny's to celebrate.
That's some poetic bullshit right there. A greasy spoon birthing a tech giant. So who are these dudes?
All right, so we got Jensen Huang, the CEO, Chris Malachowski, and Curtis Priam. And they decided right there in that Denny's that video games were the future.
And they were right.
Totally. So they started Nvidia, focused on graphics cards.
So how the hell did they go from a Denny's booth to the top of the tech world? Because let's be real, you don't just waltz into a multi-trillion-dollar valuation without some serious bumps along the way.
Oh, they had their fair share of fuck-ups. One of the biggest. They developed the wrong tech for the Sega Dreamcast.
The Dreamcast. Damn, that's going back. I remember that thing.
Yeah, talk about betting on the wrong horse. They almost went bankrupt. Like, seriously bankrupt.
No shit. So how did they survive that?
The president of Sega, a guy named Shoichiro Irimajiri, threw them a lifeline. $5 million.
$5 million. That's pocket change for them now. But I guess it was a big deal back then. So they dodged a bullet. What then?
Well, they learned from their mistakes. They pivoted, ditched the dying horse, and went public in 1999. And that's when they really started making waves in the graphics card market.
Battling it out with the big boys, right?
You got it. They were going head-to-head with companies like 3DFFX, those guys who made the Voodoo cards. Remember those?
How could I forget? The Voodoo 2 is a beast.
It was. Anyway, Nvidia ended up buying 3DFFX, absorbed them like a goddamn black hole.
Damn. So they were already playing hardball back then.
Oh, yeah. And their other main rival, ATI, ended up merging with AMD, who are, still their biggest competitor when it comes to GPUs.
Right. The eternal battle for graphic supremacy. But hold on, Nvidia is not just about gaming anymore, right? They've got their fingers in a lot of pies these days.
Oh, they've branched out big time.
So what else are they up to? Give us the rundown.
Well, they made a foray into mobile processors with their Tegra line, even designed chips for the Xbox and PlayStation 3.
Those are some big-name clients.
For sure. But here's where shit gets really interesting. They started messing around with AI.
AI?
Yeah.
So they saw the writing on the wall, knew gaming wasn't going to be enough to rule the world.
Exactly. They were early to the AI party, cooked up this platform called CUD, and started building DGX supercomputers, specifically designed for deep learning.
Okay, hold up. I know we got some smart motherfuckers listening, but I'm drawing a blank here. What the hell is CUDA? And what are these DGX things? Why should anyone give a shit?
All right. Let me break it down for you. So imagine you're trying to teach a computer to recognize, like, a picture of a cat.
Sounds easy enough?
Yeah, well, it's actually a fucking nightmare. It takes a ridiculous amount of processing power to make sense of all that data, and that's where NVIDIA's GPUs come in. They're like the math whiz kids of the computer world. They can handle those complex calculations like it's nothing.
Okay, so they're good at math. So what?
So CDA is basically the language that lets programmers talk to these GPUs and unlock their full potential for AI. And those DGX supercomputers, they're like mega brains, packed with tons of these souped-up GPUs all working together, solving insanely complex AI problems.
Like a brain orgy for data scientists.
You got it.
So basically, they're turning those graphics cards that make your games look dope into AI brains. Pretty slick.
It is. And it's a game changer. Back in 2009, this group called Google Brain started using NVIDIA GPUs for their deep learning projects.
Google Brain. The guys who know everything about you.
Pretty much. And they figured out that using NVIDIA's GPUs could speed up their deep learning systems by like 100 times.
Holy shit. So Google, The guys who track your every move and show you ads for shit you didn't even know you wanted owe their AI prowess to Nvidia.
You could say that. And you know what's crazy? It's not just the big guys like Google who are benefiting from Nvidia's AI tech.
Oh, tell me more.
They've got this program called Inception. It's basically their way of supporting AI startups, helping them get funding, resources, you name it.
So they're building an army of AI minions. Smart move.
Yeah, they're not just sitting on their mountain of cash. They're investing in the future. And that future is AI.
All right, so Nvidia is clearly more than just a gaming company. They're playing the long game. But how are they actually using these GPUs to change the world?
Well, that's a whole other rabbit hole we'll have to dive into.
And dive we shall. But first, we got to give our listeners a break to process all this brain-melting info.
All right, so we were talking about how NVIDIA's GPUs are doing more than just giving us eye candy in video games.
Yeah, let's get back to that. Where the hell are these chips actually ending up? Besides Google, of course.
Oh man, they're everywhere. Self-driving cars, scientific research, those targeted ads that stalk you around the internet. You know, the ones that make you wonder if your phone is listening to you?
So basically, Nvidia is behind the tech that's either going to save the world or turn it into some dystopian hellscape. Sounds like fun.
It's a gamble, for sure. But let's be real for a sec. Do people even care about all this AI stuff? Most folks just want to know if they can run Cyberpunk on ultra settings.
True, true. Our listeners aren't all AI nerds. They want to know how this shit affects their lives.
Yeah.
Preferably before the robots start the uprising.
Fair enough. So here's the thing. Even if you don't give a shit about AI, it's already messing with your life in ways you might not even realize.
Ooh.
Go on. Every time you scroll through Instagram, every time you search for something on Google, hell, even when Netflix recommends you a show, there's an algorithm at work, crunching data, trying to predict your next move.
So it's like those stalker exes who show up at all your favorite spots, except it's code doing the stalking. Lovely.
Pretty much. And those algorithms are getting smarter and more powerful thanks to companies like Nvidia. They're the ones providing the hardware that fuels this whole AI boom.
So they're like the arms dealers in this digital arms race. And like any good arms dealer, they're probably making a shit ton of money off it. But, you know, with great power comes great responsibility or some bullshit like that.
You'd think, right? But these tech giants aren't exactly known for their moral compasses. They want to disrupt industries, rake in cash, and change the world. Whether that change is good or bad is kind of secondary.
So should we be worried? Is Nvidia going to turn into some evil corporation, control our minds, and make us buy a new graphics card every week?
I mean, it's possible, but it's not like they're some mustache-twirling villain plotting world domination. They're a company, driven by profit and ambition. The real question is, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to let these tech giants shape the future, or are we going to demand they use their power responsibly?
Well, our listeners are a bunch of glorious bastards, so I doubt they'll sit back and do nothing. What can they actually do, though? It's not like they can storm Nvidia's headquarters and demand ethical AI development.
Well, for starters, they can vote with their wallets, support companies that are taking ethics seriously, and boycott those that aren't.
Right. Hit them where it hurts. The wallets.
Exactly. And they can raise awareness, talk to their friends, put pressure on these companies to be more transparent.
So basically, be informed, be vocal, and don't be afraid to call bullshit when you see it.
You got it. We can't just assume these companies will do the right thing. We got to hold their feet to the fire and make sure they're not just using their power for profit.
Right on. Enough doom and gloom for now. Let's talk about some specific shit Nvidia's done that's pissed people off. Because let's be real, everyone fucks up sometime.
Oh yeah, they've had their share of controversies. Remember the GTX 970 debacle?
I'll refresh my memory.
They basically lied about the card's specs, ended up in lawsuits and settlements.
So they tried to pull a fast one on their customers. Classic.
Yep. And then there was that GeForce Partner program, basically an attempt to force other companies to play by their rules.
Ah, the my way or the highway approach. That usually doesn't end well.
Nope.
Yeah.
Backfired spectacularly. They had to shut it down because everyone called them out for being anti-competitive.
So they made enemies, pissed off customers, and got slapped on the wrist by regulators.
Yep.
Not exactly a clean track record.
And they've also tried to control the media narrative, punish reviewers who didn't praise their products.
Sounds like they've got a bit of an ego problem. Maybe all that success went to their heads.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Okay, so they've got a shady past, a bit of an attitude, and they're leading the charge in a technology that could potentially change everything. Recipe for disaster.
Or a recipe for something amazing. Depends on the choices they make. Will they use their power for good or for evil?
Only time will tell. But let's talk about that failed ARM acquisition. Even with all their money and power, they couldn't get what they wanted.
Oh yeah, that was a big one. They tried to buy ARM, the company that designs chips for practically everything, for a whopping $40 billion.
40 billion. Damn. That's more than some countries' GDPs.
I know, right? But regulators shut them down. They were worried about Nvidia becoming too powerful, creating a monopoly that would stifle innovation and fuck over consumers.
So the antitrust watchdogs put their foot down.
Yep. Sent Nvidia packing.
I bet that bruised their ego.
For sure. But they're not giving up on AI. With the current AI boom, their GPUs are in crazy high demand for data centers running those massive AI models.
The ones that can write poems and compose symphonies.
Yep. And companies are shelling out billions of dollars for these chips. They're so valuable, they're being delivered by armored cars.
Armored cars. What are they worried about chip pirates?
I guess when you're dealing with components that are worth more than their weight in gold, you don't take any chances. But all this success has caught the eye of the big guys.
You mean the government?
The FTC and DOJ are currently investigating Nvidia, along with Microsoft and OpenAI.
Oh, shit. The feds are on their case.
Yeah, they're looking into potential monopolies, unfair competition, trying to figure out if these guys are playing fair.
Sounds like someone's about to get their wrist slapped.
We'll have to wait and see. But these investigations could have a huge impact on Nvidia's future, and on the future of AI as a whole.
This is some serious shit.
It is. We're talking about technology that could fundamentally change our world. And Nvidia is right at the center of it.
All right, let's take a step back for a sec. We've covered a lot of ground here. Nvidia's origins, their crazy success, their shady moves. We've talked about the good and the bad of AI, the ethics, the role of the government.
It's been a wild ride.
So where the hell do we go from here? What's the next chapter in this Nvidia saga?
That's the million-dollar question. Will they use their power for good, or will they succumb to greed? Will the government rein them in, or will they become too big to control?
Damn, that's a lot to think about.
It is. But one thing's for sure, this is just the beginning. We're at the dawn of the AI age, and Nvidia is leading the charge.
So buckle up, everyone. It's going to be a wild ride. All right, you beautiful degenerates, we're back, ready to wrap up this Nvidia deep dive. We've talked about their humble beginnings, their insane rise, their shady moves, and their potential to either save the world or turn us all into slaves.
It's been a trip, hasn't it? From Denny's to AI domination, Nvidia's definitely had a wild ride. But the question on everyone's mind is, are they going to become the next tech titan? The one that eclipses even those fuckers at Apple and Microsoft?
Let's cut the crap. What are the odds these bastards actually become the overlords of the tech universe?
Well, they've got a lot going for them. Their market cap's insane, their GPUs are like gold dust, and they're right at the forefront of the AI revolution.
So they're sitting pretty. But even titans fall, right? What could fuck things up for these guys? Send them tumbling down from Mount Olympus.
Few things. Those antitrust investigations could really screw them over. Regulators are watching them like hawks, man. Worried about their power in the AI market.
Right. The feds are sniffing around, seeing they're playing dirty. Yeah.
Exactly. And if the FTC and DOJ decide they're being anti-competitive, they could impose all sorts of restrictions, force them to break up the company, or even hit them with massive fines.
So even with all their money and power, they're not untouchable.
Nobody is, really. And then there's competition. The tech world is brutal, man. There are a lot of hungry companies out there waiting for Nvidia to slip up.
Yeah, Intel's trying to get into the AI game, and AMD's always nipping at their heels.
It's a dogfight. And don't forget about all those startups popping up with new tech. Nvidia can't afford to get lazy, or they'll be left in the dust.
They got to stay ahead of the curve, keep innovating, or they'll end up like, what was it, Blockbuster? Or Kodak.
Exactly. Those guys were kings once, and now they're just cautionary tales. And we can't forget about the ethics stuff we talked about earlier.
Right. The whole don't be evil thing.
It's not just a catchy slogan. Nvidia's got to make sure their tech isn't being used for, evil shit.
Yeah, facial recognition, killer robots, that kind of stuff. We don't want to end up living in some Black Mirror episode.
Nobody does. They need to set some ethical guidelines, work with governments, make sure their AI is being used for good.
So a lot of power, a lot of potential, and a whole lot of responsibility. Sounds like Nvidia's at a crossroads. They could shape the future for better or for worse.
It's a big moment, man. And the choices they make now will affect us all.
Well, there you have it, you magnificent bastards. That's the Nvidia story. From a booth in Denny's to the forefront of the AI revolution. Who knows what the future holds?
One thing's for sure. It's going to be interesting.
Am right. Stay tuned, you glorious degenerates. The Nvidia saga continues, and we'll be here to break it all down for you. Until then, stay curious, stay skeptical, and don't be afraid to call bullshit when you see it. Peace out.